The Sea Devils is a notable step up from the previous two stories in Season 9. Although I enjoyed those serials, I just found this one to be really solid and engaging. So this episode starts off with the Doctor and Joe visiting the Master in prison. It's never made entirely clear exactly why he's visiting the Master, but perhaps it's just to make sure that he's secure in prison, who knows. So the Doctor doesn't actually stay for long, he leaves very soon, and what we as the audience quickly find out is that the Master has basically taken control of the prison. And that makes for a fun dynamic. The Master does what he wants in prison. If he wants a second TV, he gets it, and he's manipulated the prison warden into doing what he wants him to and what advantages him. So what the Master basically wants is to start a war between the Sea Devils and, well, the humans. Pretty early on, we figure out that the Sea Devils are somehow related to the Silurians from Season 7, and ultimately this story is effectively a reimagining of that Season 7 story, the Silurians, but it makes enough differences to make it not completely feel like a copy of that one, and be a little bit its own thing, even though it is closely related. For one thing, there's a different design, a different creature, a different location. Also, this one has both the Master and Joe Grant, and it doesn't have Liz or the Brigadier, and it is also one part shorter. In addition, it takes longer for the main characters in this one to get much screen time. So if all of those things sound like positives to you and you haven't seen this one, then I would definitely recommend it, and vice versa, if those things sound like negatives, then this one might not be for you in terms of the changes it makes to the Silurians, but odds are you've already seen the serial if you're watching this review. And like the Silurians, there are certain aspects to the story that I just can't talk about until the spoiler section, so we'll save that stuff for later. And sidebar, the production values in this one are higher than I'm accustomed to with the show. There's some good location work at multiple areas, which is handled quite well, and yeah, they just did a solid job in that regard. And this story is quite well paced, it's a 6-parter, and it doesn't really drag, though I can't help but feel that as maybe a 4 or 5 part story, this would have gone more quickly and gotten to the parts of the story that are legitimately great a little bit sooner, which I consider to be in parts 5 and 6. So yeah, it could have been made a little bit more tight maybe, but it still works well as it stands. The Doctor is pretty great.
Well, I suppose we could always come back later.
He's still charismatic and fun, and also still leans more into the violent aspects of the character than I personally would like. Although he has some great moments, and a part where he says,
I reversed the polarity of the neutron flow.
Which might be his first time saying that, although I'm pretty sure he has actually done that before. Also, he still has good chemistry with Joe Grant, so I appreciated that. And Joe is pretty good in this one. This might be Joe's worst appearance in this season, but that's not because she's bad, she just simply doesn't have a lot to do. And don't get me wrong, she still does a couple of important things, and she is enjoyable, she's just less involved on the whole.
After you.
No, after you.
No, after you.
Also, the Master is as good as you would expect. I think giving him a break was an appropriate thing to do for the first 2 stories, and this is a good way to bring him back. If it was the next episode after he was sent to prison, when he was basically running it already, it wouldn't have totally worked, but giving it a bit of time I think was a good decision, and I wouldn't have minded giving him even more time off, but this is a really solid appearance for that character, and I like the way that he's used here.
What are you watching?
It seems to be a rather interesting extraterrestrial life form.
Only puppets, you know. For children.
Oh.
I have to say that I really liked the design of the Sea Devils. It took me a couple of episodes to really grow on me, but I've come to just quite like it. I love how their movements and their height make them feel different to the humans, and the face just did grow on me. Even though the words don't totally match what their mouths are doing, I did quite like the way that they spoke. It just felt a little bit different and off, and I just enjoyed it.
Depths of the sea and those areas on Earth where man cannot live can be yours. Wouldn't it be better to try for a piece?
So this is now your spoiler warning for the story. If you want to skip past the spoilers, then go to the time as shown on screen, and if you're sticking with me, then we're gonna get into those. I also did enjoy that towards the end of this story, the Master and the Doctor worked together, although the Doctor did so reluctantly.
Do you think you can correct this fault?
Yes, I think so, given time. Now then, let's see.
But a little bit later on, they did escape together, which I love when the Master and the Doctor just work together in some situation. It's just kind of fun. And this serial does end with basically the same message about humans that the Silurians had, and it is a good one that was well executed here. The actual moment might be better executed than in the Silurians, but I'm not ready to definitively declare that, and I still don't know which of these stories I preferred. Also, all of the scenes with the Sea Devils being murdered were quite sad, just because it was all so incredibly unnecessary and it didn't need to happen. But because of some idiot human who resorted to violence as a first instinct, it did happen and people died. It was pointless. It was also quite sad to see that the Doctor had to destroy the Sea Devils. I liked how he tried to give them another opportunity, but of course it didn't work, and that was sad. I do wish the story had milked the Doctor's reaction to that more, or like at all, because in the story it doesn't really show him being particularly affected by that, which just feels like it was a little bit of a missed opportunity. Overall, The Sea Devils is a really solid and well-paced story that borrows a good amount from the Silurians, while also bringing enough fresh elements to the table to prevent this from feeling like an unnecessary retread. The Doctor and the Master work quite well together, and Jo is pretty good as well. The Sea Devils serve the purpose they are meant to effectively, and all of these elements add to making this a solid and engaging story. So I really like this one, and I'm going to give The Sea Devils a rating of 8.25 out of 10. And that does it for today's review of The Sea Devils. I do hope you enjoyed this one, and be sure to let me know your thoughts on this story down below if you feel like doing so. And I hope to see you around this upcoming Sunday. I should have a ranking video out of some sort on, I believe, the 20th. So I do hope to see you around for that, and if not, that is absolutely fine, so long as you know that I appreciate your time here today. And with that said, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and have a lovely week.